Welcome to Meeple, uniting players from around the world. A 30-minute exploration of PJ and Gareth's board game experiences from across both sides of the Atlantic. Each episode, they share their thoughts and opinions on the world of board games, including their favourite themes, games, hot topics, and much, much more.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to episode 46, an origin story, gamer relationships. I'm PJ.
I'm Gareth.
He is Gareth, and it's so good to see you, my friend. How are you?
It's very long, Gareth. Yeah, I'm good, thank you, PJ. It's been 2 weeks because you've been too busy gallivanting around game fairs to catch up. But you've got plenty of content for us to listen to.
I do.
I'm very
Unfortunately,
excited.
I don't have as much as you did. I
It's
feel like you
not
gave
about
us more.
the quantity; it's the quality.
Well,
Your
that's kind of
quality recordings are excellent. So all of the people who submitted their recordings to you, well done them.
Yes, thank you guys. Thanks for participating. So I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, it works quite well. The pre-recording, not recording
Yeah.
at the expo. I like it. So do you want to give us a quick? How was it?
So
what did we miss?
Very interesting. So, you missed. I don't think you missed a lot, but I think people here in America missed a lot.
Yeah, I got you.
So it started off real exciting. I get up early on Wednesday morning and I make a 6-hour drive over to Columbus, and only to encounter this massive traffic to find out that there was a car fire on the freeway.
It's a good start. Just what you need.
I'm like, great. So I'm texting Derek, who's like the operations guy for Wise Wizard Games, who I was working for, by the way. And I'm like, hey, I just got, I'm held up by an hour. So I'm going to be later. I'm sorry, but I'm coming. And so finally I get there, get to the hotel, park the car, go straight into the convention. The beauty is that the hotel was connected to the convention center.
That's nice. Yeah.
I have never had that. I've always had to walk out in the hot sun. It's just miserable in the, mid-June in the Midwest. Ugh. So I get there, get my badge, start setting up, meet everybody later. And it was really cool. Had no idea what I was doing at first. We got our assignments like a few days before, and I knew that I was going to be either demoing or I was going to be teaching Epic Card Game by Wise Wizard Games. And it started with demoing, and then I moved over. So there's two sections. There's a booth in the vendor hall, but then so Origins is structured a lot more like Gen Con now. It wasn't always this way.
Right.
You can pre-register for events in advance and where you can learn the game. So I was moved over there because there was more of a demand. And so it was like I would sit at the table and people who pre-registered would come up.
Yeah.
And I would teach them the full game and they'd play an entire game. And if they were fast, I'd let them play a second game because they had like a 2-hour window. So I taught Epic Card Game 34 times in 4 days. So I played this game a lot. And then there were a couple times where the events had slowed down and they asked me to go to the vendor hall to be available to demo Epic. And that's easier because I can like give you a quick highlight of the rules, let you play 1 or 2 hands, and then call it a day. I had never played Epic before.
But now you're a pro.
Yeah.
You get a badge at the end saying, I am a pro Epic player.
No, but I got some good swag. I got some good.
Good.
I got some, I got several copies of their, all the Epic stuff.
Yeah.
The game that I taught, which was designed for 2-player, it was their duels pack.
Yeah. Okay, nice.
That's what I was teaching, which was really nice. Met some really good people who were avid fans of this game.
Okay.
And so like they signed up for events. We even had tournaments. That was wild because we had like all these cool promos and everything that we were giving away if you win, and these player mats, and that was kind of exciting. So it felt cool for a game I had no experience.
I've never played it, so
no.
I'm gonna have to look it up now.
I can now teach it in 18 minutes, and we're ready to go.
Next time I need to learn this game, I shall just dial you in for a.
Well, you're gonna love it because
private lesson.
Yes, you'll love it because it will fit in your pocket.
Yeah, it's a pack of cards size, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like 30
nice.
cards and you're good to go. So yeah. So that's what I did for Wise Wizard all weekend. And that was great. Some other games in the Wise Wizard games collection that we were either teaching or demoing. Star Realms,
Yeah,
that's the
classic.
pop. There
That's
was a
the one.
huge tournament on Friday, but Hero Realms, which I learned on Saturday, which was really interesting. Uh, one of the staff members, the volunteers, they called us volunteers, even though they paid us, but that's okay. She was taking the day off to play in the Hero Realms tournament, and she's like, she plays a lot on the app, but she's never won a game in real life. I was like, well, why don't you teach me and win, and that'll get the ball rolling. So she
Yeah.
taught me. She taught me Hero Realms. Didn't take long. She did beat me, and she made it to the finals.
Wow.
Yes. So she was just floored. So it was really exciting for her. Also, they were introducing Sorcerer, which is this 2-player kind of a battle game, and then Kapow, which is their
Kapow.
new. That's that new superheroes dueling against one another,
Right.
dice rolling. Um, that was good.
Was it?
That was a good. Yeah, I'm not really into that type of a game, but I got to sit down with another guy and play, and I'm like, that was really satisfying.
Cool.
I was like, okay.
That's
Um,
Kapow. Kapow.
Kapow. Our friend Craig loves that game. That's what he was hoping I was going to teach, because he reached out to me before I left for Origins, and he's like, dude, are you going to be teaching Kapow? I'm like, no.
I'm gonna have to learn that from Craig.
Yeah,
He's having his own con, you know.
I heard, which is exciting, and I wish I could be
Yeah.
there.
So
But it's like
that's the place
it's like a
I need
week.
to learn that then.
It's a week after Gen Con here in the US, and it's like, seriously, you know. So the other good thing is I did get to meet several people from the Instagram community. Like you, I did record some sound bites, and
Awesome.
you'll introduce that and I'll tell you some stories about them. I've got some good stories to tell, so I'm really excited. So
Which do you want to get into one of those now?
yeah, let's go ahead.
So I think the first one on the list is from Michele.
Hi there, my name is Michelle. I am the Treasure Bell, and my favorite thing about Origins this year was, firstly, it was my first board game convention ever, so that was really exciting for me, and I got to hang out with the Wise Wizard crew, which was actually just amazing. The crew is amazing, the people there are amazing. I got so lucky. I feel so fortunate that I was able to do that. But also just meeting so many other Insta gamers that I've been talking to for years now online that I got to meet in person, and everybody was so keen on getting to play games together, teach games, learn games, and just generally hang out. So that was a really cool experience that, I got to meet those people after so much time and find out that they were all genuinely lovely people.
Yeah, so this is Michelle, our beloved the Treasure Bell from Canada, who got me the position at Wise Wizard Games. It was so great to see her. We got to hang out a lot on Wednesday night
Awesome.
after setting up.
Yeah.
Um, Although she pointed out to me a few days after we left, she and I did not get to play a game together, and
That
I'm still
happens often.
I'm
Yeah.
so kicking myself for that.
Yeah. That happens
Michelle,
at
if you're
UK Games
listening,
Expo
I love you, and we're gonna get in a game next time.
next time.
So,
I had that
um,
at the expo. I mean, people go, I didn't play games. You're like, no, that's my rules. I can't get stressed
yeah,
because I'm never going to meet everybody. But
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
that's a shame. That's a shame, though.
But we got to meet a bunch of the Instagram community. I know she was excited. She had confided in me, and she might get upset with me. Maybe she won't. But she's like, I didn't know how popular I was. I was like, yes, you are. She was surprised how many people wanted to
That's
see her,
lovely. It's amazing.
which was great. And I know that she really enjoyed getting to know the Wise Wizard crew.
Yeah.
We had a good group. But yeah, Michelle was a real highlight. It was really great to spend time with her, and got to work with her a little bit. We did some fun, like a photo shoot at the booth that I think our
I've
next
seen some of those. Yeah. They've been on Instagram.
I think our next soundbite is Rick, I believe.
Yeah. Should we hear from Rick?
Yeah, let's do. So real quick though, So the photo shoot was Michele and Rick and I, because we all work together at Wise Wizard Games. So yeah.
Let's go.
Hi, my name is Rick May, also known as Rick Rolled Reviews on Instagram. The thing I liked most about Origins this year was, first of all, it was my first time going, and second of all, first time working for Wise Wizard Games, so I got to meet a lot of new people and make a lot of new friends. Favorite game that I got to play this year was by far Behexed from Smirk and Dagger Games. Also got to meet one of the co-designers on that, Melody Smith, and got her to sign my copy. So it was a really, really fun experience.
Yeah, so it was really interesting to meet Rick. I had been following Rick for some time on Instagram.
Yeah.
Rick Rolled Reviews. Found out that Rick lives in Florida. He regularly attends Dice Tower East, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, it was just really fun hanging out with Rick. He was teaching Kapow and Sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
So basically I'm teaching Epic, and then he doesn't have an event, and the way they scheduled the events, and then he'd be teaching Kapow and Sorcerer while I have some downtime. So it was kind of a back and forth, which was really nice. There was one photo that he's like, we got to take this picture. I think it's one where he's holding two swords, because there was all these
awesome.
there was all these cutout standees, and he's like, we're going to replicate one of the images on a Hero Realms playmat.
Yeah.
So in that image, Michele and I are playing the role of the ogres or the orcs, and he's playing the role of the knight with the swords up. So it was really great hanging out with Rick. I wish we would have gotten to hang out more and play a real game other than the demoing that we did.
You haven't met any of these people before, apart from online?
I've not met anyone. Yeah,
anyone.
All.
Yeah.
No,
amazing,
but it was really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
The other thing that was interesting is finding out. So Derek, the operations guy that I told you about, so he's from the town of Mattoon, which is like an hour and a half from here in Springfield. And so I know Mattoon, and we're like, oh yeah, man, this is
basically a neighbor. Yeah,
we're really close. He's also got a couple of games that he's got in publication right now, or not in publication, in process.
Yep.
Sorry, I was like, look, my wife and I, we love to play test, so we'll probably hook up with him. So that was cool.
Who was the furthest apart? Who traveled in from the furthest point?
I think so. I don't, without looking at mileage.
Yeah.
Obviously, Michele came from Montreal.
Yeah.
But Rick came from Florida. Oh,
yeah.
You know what? I didn't get a soundbite from him, but he was working for Wise Wizard. That was CJ. CJ drove from Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's the furthest.
That might have nailed it.
And that was a serious drive. I can't even imagine that, because that's
no. And what was the international presence like? Was it primarily US, or was there much from Europe?
Mostly Europe and Canada. There were a lot of Canadian gamers that were there. The vending hall was probably the size of UK Games Expo. Not as big as Gen Con. I kept hearing the same thing. Two things I heard. One of them you're gonna get right away from all the sound bites is how chill Origins is compared to Gen Con. And the other one was how excited everyone was to meet everyone from the Instagram.
Yeah, amazing.
You hear that over and over. So yeah.
Okay, should we hear from Danielle next?
Yes.
This is Danielle Reynolds, Instagram name Token Gamer, and that's spelled Gaymer. And as far as my favorite game that I played at Origins, I didn't get to play many, but the one that stood out to me was Smug Owls by Grace Kendall and Mike Belsole. It's a Runaway Parade games game about creating riddles and coming up with your best answer and getting it judged, but it's really clever in how they move the judge marker around. And I actually had Mike sign his very first signed copy of the game right in front of me that I took a picture of, which was awesome. So highly recommend checking out the game and the show itself.
So this was great. This was personally, aside from Michele, when I put it together, so I'm like, this is Danielle Reynolds. And she had posted on Instagram a few weeks ago that she had been hired on. So she's an actual employee of Wise Wizard Games.
Right.
But most people know her for her previous project. She's the designer of Her Story. by
Yes.
Underdog Games.
Yeah.
And I was like, Katie and I love this game, and we just love the topic and the theme. And we're like, oh my god, we've been wanting to meet Danielle. We missed Danielle at Geekway in St. Louis.
Okay.
She and I were messaging. We missed, and so it was really cool. We got to hang out a little bit. Didn't get to play any games with Danielle. Did get to visit with her. I think she was really surprised because rather than wanting to talk about her gaming career, I was like, hey, tell me about your recent trip to Europe that she had been posting on Instagram. Because, I studied ancient Greek and Roman history. So she went to all the ancient Greek and Roman sites. And I'm like, you were at the Theater of Dionysus. Tell me about it. And so I was geeking out as a historian, not as a gamer.
Yeah.
But we had a great time talking about her
That
trip.
is awesome.
And talking about her story. It was really interesting to get that perspective, right? She was talking about a little bit of the process. She was also she was pitching some more games that are in process, and so it was kind of interesting to see that and hear that perspective, like what it's like to pitch a game when you're trying to make one.
I think it's always interesting because you play all these designers' games. We just don't always appreciate how much just the thinking process and the thought design of designing the game, let alone trying to get it published and then pitching it. Anyone who gets their games published has been through, a few 100 miles of effort and work to get that far.
Yes, absolutely. So it was great to hang out with Danielle. We will see her. She'll be working at Wise Wizard for Gen Con. So hopefully we'll get in a game with her. That would be exciting. So
that would be exciting. Then we've got a couple of duos. So we've got Shelly and Lance.
Yes.
Husband and wife.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is Shelly, aka Michele Board Gamery on Instagram. I just got back from Origins where I finally got to meet PJ in real life after chatting and playing on BGA for over a year now. I had a great time with a bunch of friends at the con, including other Instagram folks like the McMeeples, who has a new game in development called Everstone, as well as a duplex full of 15 friends from my local game group and who I've become friends with through the Gamecasters podcast. I put on regular board game events in my corner of Southwest Michigan, and I love getting to know so many people in the community. Some favorite games from this year's con include Darwin's Journey, Distilled, several from the Hachette booth, including Rauha, as well as Gartenbau from 25th Century Games that I got to play with PJ. Take care!
Hey everybody, my name is Lance Carter. I attended Origins this year, and I think my favorite part of it this year was the group of people we stayed with. There was like 13 or 14 of us in total at a big duplex, basically a gaming frat house. That was a ton of fun. And I think my favorite game I played this year was Dwellings of Eldervale. It's a couple of years old, but I just got a chance to play it for the first time. And I think that's a close tie with playing Crokinole for the first time, surprisingly. That game was a ton of fun. Got to play with all of our friends. I think that's it. Thanks.
So I was really excited to meet Shelly and Lance. I've been playing games, as you heard in her talk. We've been playing Board Game Arena for a little over a year. We played Obsession. I played Obsession with her and her husband on BGA. She played Obsession with Katie and I on BGA, right. which was funny because my wife's like, who's this person? And I'm like, well, this is Shelly, and she's up in Michigan, and she's great. So it's awesome. I think Shelly's probably one of our biggest fans. She listens to our podcast religiously.
Thank you, Shelly.
And it's so funny. So I was with Michele and Rick and a couple others from the Wise Wizard group. I don't remember where we were going. We were walking down the street, and I just see out the corner of my eye, and I see Shelly, and I just go running up to her. And it's so funny because she comments, she goes, it's so weird because she's looking at me.
Yeah.
And she's like, I hear your voice every day. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to sound like? So it was really fun. I did get to play Gartenbau by 25th Century Games with her. I ended a shift one night. I met her in the open gaming area with her husband, Lance, and a bunch of the friends from Southwest Michigan, including Sean. So a quick shout out to Sean, who was kind of picked me up a coffee one day. Really nice guy, really great group of people. But we played Gartenbau. That was an excellent experience. They were really patient with me because like I'd take my turn and then I'd start asking them questions like, so Lance, how did you and Shelly meet? You know, because I'm like, I'm trying to get to know people. So I'm like, yeah, tell me about your life. You know, tell me what's the core of Lance and Shelly, right? So they were really patient. They were kind enough. Shelly showed up a day or two later. And so she had brought me a copy of Gartenbau and got it autographed
Oh,
by
that's lovely.
by David Abelson, which was so cool.
That is so
I was
cool.
like, that's great. And then she was recently, so she's done a lot for the gaming community in Southwest Michigan, getting them together, going to craft breweries for having game nights. She's been working with local small businesses. She was featured in a local newspaper, and they put the article online. So check that out, guys. If you're not, to our listeners, if you don't follow Michiana.boardgamery, you need to find her. Shelly is an amazing person, great husband. She's got great friends. It's a really good community. It was such a pleasure meeting all of them and hanging out with them as little as I could. You know, I'd go on my lunch break and rather than eat one day, I just went hang out with them. And so it was really a real
That's
pleasure.
a cool story.
So,
it's amazing.
No, they were so great.
Lovely.
They were so great. So yeah, definitely. So thank you again to Shelly and Lance and crew from Michiana.
And thank you, Shelly, for listening, being one of our top listeners. Now we've got Ben and Dave.
Yep.
Hey, my name is Ben Vorhorst. I am Games with Ben on Instagram. The thing I liked best about Origins was meeting all the cool board game enthusiasts just like myself. And the favorite game I played while I was there was Marrakesh by Stefan Feld.
Hey there, it's Board Game Dave. So I had an amazing time at Origins Game Fair in Columbus, even though I was only there from Wednesday to Friday, but it was so nice getting to see familiar faces in the board game community and meeting so many new people and walking around the expo hall. And it was just a tremendous time. It was kind of hanging out with the board gaming community. It was fantastic. I did play 7 new games to me, but I actually really enjoyed playing 3 familiar games to me. I played Istanbul for the first time physically, although I've played many times on the app. I got to play one of my all-time favorite games, Great Western Trail, with my friend Dale. I kind of inadvertently signed up for a tournament and I actually won the first round, which was unexpected, but that was great. And I also got to play Heaven and Ale. We had scheduled this kind of ahead of time, but Ben from Games with Ben and Shelly and Lance from Michiana Board Gamery and I all played Heaven and Ale, and we had an amazing time. So great games, great friends. It was an awesome conference all around.
So Ben and Dave are okay. So they're part of the Michiana group.
Okay.
So I
should
show
move.
up.
I'm not helping, am I?
No, it
sounds like a
4
great
hours.
gang. Okay.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No, they're cool, and we would fit in well. So I had a lunch break. They were playing Heaven and Ale. I think Dave mentioned Heaven and Ale is one of the games they were playing. So they were playing Heaven and Ale, and I come up to them and I'm just hanging out for a few minutes, and I squat down next to Shelly because I noticed some of the actions that they're taking were similar to Gartenbau, right? And so I'm asking her questions, and then this guy, he's like, "What are you doing? Are you helping her with her turn?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." And it's Dave, who's Board Game Dave, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I follow you on Instagram." And he looks at me, "I follow you on Instagram." It's like, oh my God. And then they're like, "Well, this is Ben, Games with Ben." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And there was so much that happened. So much. I follow you and you follow me. Crazy, right? The people that you meet. And it was just hilarious. Now, I will tell you this.
Meeple to meeple, connecting people at games conventions.
Yes. Thank you. I do want to tell you this. So if you ever meet Dave, you, Gareth, any of our listeners, it is very important that you ask Dave about his coins.
Coins. Okay. I don't think I remember this, but note to self, ask Dave about his coins.
So he's wearing a t-shirt that says, "Ask me about my coins." So I do. And I don't know, he pulls out a bag of metal coins and he's like, "Well, look at these metal coins." I'm like, "Cool." So I was a little disappointed that he didn't mention coins in his soundbite, but yeah. And then Ben's a lot quieter, but just a delight. Thus, he was so easygoing and great to meet. And I love that he mentioned Marrakesh by Stefan Feld, because you had mentioned Marrakesh at
Yeah.
UK Games Expo. So I made a point of going to Queen Games and picking up my copy of Marrakesh as well.
Good work. That influence from the
That's
UK
right.
to America.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's good. I think you're going to love it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it hitting the table here real soon. So
Real soon.
that'll be great.
So we got Brian next up.
Hello, this is Brian from 926 Games. This was my first year attending Origins, and I really had a great time exploring all the treasures it had to offer. I worked a booth every day, but still had some time to wander the halls and play some games in the free play area. And they had a magniferous lending library full of recent and hard-to-find games. My favorite game played was In the Footsteps of Darwin by Hatchet Board Games. It's a light, fun, but essentially abstract strategy game. But in the end, my favorite part was getting a chance to meet up with a bunch of people that I, until Origins, had only met online. And it turns out the greatest treasure of all was the friends made along the way. So until next time, keep gaming.
Okay, Brian sums it up perfectly, right? Keep gaming, right?
Just keep gaming.
Yeah. I mean, he is, how do I describe Brian? So he is loud and lovely. That is
Sounds
just
like you.
Yeah. Well, he is louder and lovelier.
He's louder and
lovelier.
lovelier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a moment. I'm at the Wise Wizard booth in the vendor hall. My back is to him when he comes up. And I'm talking to Danielle and Michele. We're talking about whatever, kapow or something. And all of I just hear in this loud, booming voice, he's like, "Oh my God, is that the Cajun gamer? He's so handsome." And everyone turns around and I'm like, there he is, and just big old bear hug and just, amazing guy to talk to. And then I introduced him to Danielle and he was just floored because Brian you have to check his site on Instagram, right? Because he's 9 to 6 games, right? So that's the number
right.
9, 2TO6, 9 to 6 games. I think Brian has 6 kids. I think he has 6 children.
Are they all gamers?
Some of them are. I know he's got one of his sons has like his top 5 that he just posted on Instagram a few days ago. But so Brian was really excited to meet Danielle because he has daughters and her story really features women throughout history. And so he was just really touched. And then Danielle made the comment that she wishes people would like react the way he did about me, right? Yelling across the hall. So like without thinking, we're like, oh my God, both of us, Brian and I together, is that Danielle Reynolds? That's the designer of our store. And just shouting it from the top and everyone turns around and she's like, y'all could just keep doing that. And I'm like, great, we'll do it.
She made a soundbite especially to keep playing back.
That's right. So yeah, Brian is amazing. And I think he, like I said, he sums it up beautifully.
I can imagine there's been a lot of bear hugs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I know there was at UK Games Expo. Everyone's like, yay, good to see you.
Absolutely.
Love it.
What surprised me the most, I think we heard a couple people say this. It was their first gaming convention.
Yeah, there's been a few.
I'm really surprised because, Gen Con kept going. I think Origins took 2 years off. Gen Con just took 1 off during the pandemic. So, and like, I don't think of myself as personally, I don't think of myself as a influencer in the community. I know I don't have nearly as many followers as others, yourself included. Not like I'm trying to compare, but it surprises me that people who I think of as influencers, clearly they go to conventions, right? I mean, it's what we do, right?
Is it the distance though? Distance and cost, isn't it? Unless you're nearby, hotels, it soon adds up.
Now, Brian lives in Indianapolis, so as he says, he's 15 minutes from the ICC, so Gen Con is like in his backyard.
It's like dangerous though, because there's no limit on games apart from cash.
So Brian and I also got to hang out just one-on-one one night because he was working a booth in the vendor hall. We were going to try to play a game. I kept next station London with me in my backpack at all times.
Nice.
And I didn't get to play it, but he had said he hadn't, so I thought we were going to play. But so he and I were sitting down talking, just talking about the community. It was a really good experience. I enjoyed meeting him, and he's going to be kind of him and Kristen Mott, who's the designer of Dinosaur Exhibit, a recent roll and write. She also lives in Indianapolis. She and a couple others are going to help coordinate those of us coming in for Gen Con this year. So,
that's really cool.
We've got a Instagram chat group, so that's kind of exciting. Yeah. So, thank you, Brian. It was great meeting you. I know you're listening, so you
Sounds
keep
like
gaming.
An awesome fellow.
Yeah. I mean,
so
big burly bear. I mean,
big burly bear,
Burly
Brian.
bear.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was on accident. But
let's just stop there. So we have one more.
We do, and this one
I've listened to this one. This one's super loud. So let's hear what Ryan has to say.
Hey, PJ and Gareth, Ryan here from the Gamecasters podcast. Listen, Origins was great. Our first time going, which is crazy, and we brought the kids with us, which was really fantastic. It was awesome running into PJ in the vendor hall, and I was like, hey, dude, what's up? And he was like, listen here, what? Do you even know who the I am? And then he slapped me across the face and said, I have to go to the bathroom, you son of a get the out of my way. And he yelled, meeple to meeple at the top of his lungs while he left. Everyone was terrified. So we didn't get to spend a ton of time together, but it was really cool to have all three of my kids watch as their father was just completely dominated from this guy who really had to pee. And Origins was cool. Hope to meet you someday as well, Gareth, so I can feel how a nice kick to the groin might feel while I try to talk to you at your booth. Anyway, I think my favorite game I played at the convention was either this really cool musical game called Paraphrase, or a game I like to call Hide Your Tears from the Children, which I played with PJ and lost. I'm just kidding, of course. PJ was great. The convention was great. Everything was great.
I mean, it sounds like I don't quite know what happened, but so you clearly. I'm
going to let you know. I'm going to tell you right now.
It sounds like you could have got arrested, if I'm honest with you.
Maybe. So to be fair, whenever I have to go to the bathroom, I make it a habit of yelling, meeple to meeple. I didn't know what he was going to say. I had no idea. It was really interesting because I'm in the vendor hall on my lunch break, whatever day that was, Saturday. I don't know. So the thing about working a convention is you put in long hours.
Yeah.
And then when the vendor hall closes, you're then like on this mad rush to meet people and get in some gaming.
And some food.
Maybe, if you're lucky.
Yep.
And then you're just exhausted. And then you got to get up and do it again.
Do it again. Yeah.
So I'm like a zombie walking down the vendor hall. I'm not really paying attention to what's going on. I'm like, just, and all of a sudden he comes up to me and he's like, PJ. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's his wife, Natalie, and their three kids, who is also Natalie's on the podcast, the Gamecasters. So give them a listen. They are incredibly entertaining. So it was really fun to talk to them for a few minutes. It wasn't a lot, but it was good.
That was enough for a full-on fight.
Apparently there was.
Yeah.
So it was great because I'm sitting here talking to them, and their son, because they've got the kids like kind of around, their son's just giving me this side eye like, I'd like to go look at more games, Dad. Could we move on, please?
Yeah. Who is this bloke?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So it was fun. It was fun to meet a fellow podcaster, a fellow gamer, and their family. I enjoyed, emasculating him in front of his children, all because I had to go to the bathroom. Can you imagine? Yeah.
However, it was a very good ending and a final sound clip. So
it really was. So,
I mean, the headline of the podcast called Gamer Relationships.
Yes.
But the fact that 1, 2, 3, 4, I think about eight of you plus others have never met before, and you've got together, you've hung out, whether it's just a brief bear hug or where you actually got to play games or you've worked stands together.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how the community, and particularly, I know this is very much Instagram focused, can come together, and you feel as if you've known each other forever.
Right? Yeah. Forever.
You'll see them again either at Gen Con or maybe Origins next year, and it'll feel like it was only yesterday.
Yep. I know that I'm going to see Shelly and her crew on Sunday. They'll have their 6-year-old in tow. Sunday's an interesting day at Gen Con because my sister-in-law lives an hour away from Indy.
Okay.
She comes to Gen Con just on Sunday.
Right.
Our nephew is 3. And so Shelly's connecting with my sister-in-law because they're both going to have their children in tow. And that's kind of an experience. I don't know I can't speak to that. So that'll be fun to introduce them. And, not only do we connect gamers, we connect people, we connect meeples, and we connect
families.
Families, yes. After all, we are one big family. So, yeah, that was Origins. It was
amazing.
It was a whirlwind.
I cannot wait to hear Gen Con, which is how far? How many weeks were Gen Con?
31 days.
4 weeks. 4 and a bit weeks. We better prepare ourselves for a mega episode because you're there. Sound bites. I think the sound bites work well, but you got some giveaways, some item surprises, which we need to work out how we do those. And I'm sure there's many more tales of Origins that we've yet to be shared.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. We got some really cool opportunities that we need to work out.
Yeah.
So
it's a big thanks to Michele, Rick, Danielle, Shelly, and Lance, Ben and Dave, Big Bear Brian, and Ryan for their contributions to this episode.
Thank you guys.
I greatly appreciate listening to how their experience was at Origins.
Well, I enjoyed listening to them and delivering them to our listeners. So, yeah.
Thank you, PJ. It's been absolutely amazing. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Please subscribe. And as always, we love to hear your thoughts and ideas. So make sure to leave those in the comments. And don't forget, you can also chat with us both on Instagram @Meeple to Meeple.